Hey, hey, this is week 14 of the 840. Thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited about the word that God has given me this week. It definitely has been ministering to my spirit, and my prayer is that it will minister to your spirit as well. So, I would love for you to grab a pencil, grab a pen, grab the notes on your cell phone or tablet or whatever, and write down this title, okay? And I want you to repeat this title throughout the week. Ready? All I want, all I need is all of Him. All I want, all I need is all of Him. Do we really believe that? Do we believe that for ourselves? Do we believe it enough for there to be a spiritual awakening in our lives to realize that He is truly all we need? And not only that, for us to come to the place where we can say with complete honesty that He is truly all I want. Anything else in my life that I desire, anything else that I seek, it can be summed up into the fact that I want Him, that I want Him. So I want you to ask yourself that. I'm asking myself that as well. Like I said, I'm excited because what I share with y'all, it's not just for y'all, it's for me too. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I can be passionate about it, is because it's what God's been ministering and speaking to me as well. So the question and the statement is all I want, all I need is all of Him. Ask yourself that, is it? And then declare it for yourself. It is. It is. So, we all know that we need God. I believe with all my heart, even the people that are in sin right now, the people that are continuing in their sinful lifestyles, really do know deep down that they need God. They do. But what makes the difference is not just us realizing our need for Him, but us coming to the place where we want Him. Not only do I need God, I want God. And that's where the crossover happens. That's where the change that leads to the difference is found, is when I change from not just needing Him, but wanting Him. Wanting Him. This leads me to a word that I want to share with you guys this week, and that word is desperation. Desperation. Do we want Him enough to be desperate for Him? Do you know what it means to be desperate for something? It means that you're willing to take any risk at any cost to get something that's a futuristic goal for yourself. Okay. So if I am desperate for something, I realize I don't already have it. I need it. Okay. It's in the future for me. But I am willing to do whatever it takes at whatever cost to achieve that thing for myself. And what I'm talking about to you today is Jesus. Jesus, a relationship with the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the creator of everything, who was, who is, who will always be, the one who is coming again one day, and you will answer to Him. Are you desperate to know Him intimately? Are you desperate to have a relationship with Him that is more real than any other relationship in your life? It's more real to you than the relationship you have with your husband. It is more special to you than the relationship you have with your husband or with your wife, with your kids or your grandparents or your parents or your neighbors or your pastor. Our relationship with Jesus should be the most real, most important relationship in our life. And if it's not, then we need to come to that point of desperation. And I would dare to say that every day it would be healthy for all of us as Christians to be desperate for Him again. We go through the day, we fall asleep, we wake up the next day, and we're once again desperate for a relationship with Him, to know Him in the most possible, in the best possible way for that day. You know, today it was special because I was working on my computer and I just realized it was about 11:30 and it was almost lunchtime for me. And I was like, hey, I just want to see my husband. I just want to see him. I just had this urge to just see my husband. So I called him up, asked him where he was at. He was still working out in the country. He said, "Hey, but babe, it's a beautiful drive out. I've got lunch. I've got extra actually. Why don't you just, you know, finish what you're doing, drive out to see me?" And so I did. I just did because I just wanted to spend time with him. And maybe it was only 25, 30 minutes long, and then I drove back in, but it was so special. And the thing about it is that I wanted it, and so I made it happen. And so what about our relationship with Jesus? Do we want him enough to make time with him happen? Do we want him enough to get up earlier or to turn the TV off and open the Bible instead? Do we want him enough to take a walk down, if you live in San Saba, to this amazing park that we have? Or any of the amazing parks we have. We have Mill Pond, we have the nature park, we have Visions that is so peaceful down by the river. Do we want him enough to say, hey, I'm shutting the computer off, I'm setting my phone to the side, I'm turning off the TV, and I am desperate. I want time with my Savior. Are we there? We need to be that way every day. So, you know what? Today I had quality time with my husband. But tomorrow I'm going to also. It may not look the same way. It's not going to be driving out to see him and his job in the country, but I want my husband's relationship enough that I'm going to make time for him again tomorrow, and he's going to make time for me. What about our relationship with Jesus? Are we making time for him every day? Do you know that I know like there's not more hours on the clock literally that like grow all of a sudden, but I am telling you, when I make time to spend with Jesus, I have more time in the day. It's like not possible, but I guarantee you it happens. The same concept is true with your money. When you give first to God, when you give your tithe, when you give offering off the top, you just have enough. You just do. Because when God is your priority, he takes care of you. Time, money, anything. When God is your priority, he will take care of the rest. I guarantee it. I have experienced it for myself. So, desperation realizes there's a void that needs to be filled. Okay. And I want to use the story of Zacchaeus today with the time that we have left. We can find the story of Zacchaeus in Luke chapter 19, and there is so much to be learned from him. In case you don't know, he was the chief tax collector in that region. And tax collectors weren't liked very well. People didn't really like them. They collected money for the government. People weren't all excited about handing over their money to a tax collector to be turned into the government. And besides that, tax collectors were known to be thieves. They were manipulative. They took some of the money. They weren't honest. And that was the reputation that they had. And unfortunately, Zacchaeus had that kind of reputation as well. So let's look together in Luke chapter 19 and see what lessons that we can learn from Zacchaeus today because of what he learned. All right. Starting in verse 1. Jesus entered Jericho. And I would just encourage you to stop and enter the name of your town. Okay. So Jesus entered San Saba and made his way through the town. Okay, that right there just makes me want to smile to like picture him like coming in up on the west end of town, passing West End, coming down through Stripes, like he is coming through town. Like, what would I do? Like, if I'm sitting here in my house and I hear, hey, Jesus is about to pass through San Saba. What? Let's go. Let's go see Jesus. So Zacchaeus was that way. Okay. So there was a man there named Zacchaeus. First point I want to make is that he was available. Zacchaeus was available. He was there in the town of Jericho, and we're going to see he goes there where Jesus is passing through. Okay. I'm sure he wasn't in that immediate vicinity at the time. He probably had to get up, leave whatever he had going on, and be available to encounter Jesus. What about us? What about me? What about you? Are we available? Are we so busy and have everything so scheduled out and have so much going on that there's no room for him? Or are we available that if he moves on our heart to go visit someone, we're available? if he moves on our heart to lay down whatever we're doing and just spend time with him, we're available. Are we available? That's a tough one already, right? So Zacchaeus was available. So let's look at what he did. He was a chief tax collector in the region, like I told you. Okay. And he had become very rich. Now, if all the answers were found in money, he was fine. He didn't need to go where Jesus was because it tells us right there he was rich. But guess what? The answer is not in money. It's not. The answer is not money. We all need money, but we don't have our fulfillment in money. That's not where we're going to be fulfilled at. That's not where true joy and peace and contentment are going to come from. That's not how you're going to stop arguing with your husband. Okay. The basis for the answer to all of those things is Jesus, Jesus. It's Jesus. It's unity in Jesus. It's unity with Jesus. It's unity with those around us with Jesus. Okay, so he was a chief tax collector. He was rich, but he goes to see Jesus because he's desperate. He knows there's a void. He needs something that he doesn't have already. Verse 3, he tried to get a look at Jesus, but he was too short to see over the crowd. So what does he do? Well, and verse 4 says he ran. He ran ahead of the crowd. He ran ahead of where Jesus was at, but he knew which direction he was going. And he climbs up in a sycamore tree beside the road, for he knew that Jesus was going to pass that way. Okay, so the second lesson we can learn from Zacchaeus is he was willing. First, he was available, and now he is willing. He is willing to run ahead of the crowd. He's willing to climb a tree. What is his goal here? To see Jesus. To see Jesus. There's something in him that makes him realize he needs that man that's walking through town right now. Can I tell you, can I remind myself, we need Jesus. We can't do this alone. And I don't want to. And you know what the good news is? Jesus doesn't want us to either. He wants to do it with us. He doesn't want us trying to figure it out on our own. We need him. Zacchaeus was willing to do what it took so that he could see Jesus. Are we willing? Are we willing to do what it takes to have a relationship with Jesus, the kind of relationship that is the best relationship we have in our lives? And guys, I'm telling you, I have some great relationships, and I pray that you do too. I am so blessed to have great relationships with my parents, grandparents, in-laws, my kids, my husband. Those are great, but they're not better than my relationship with Jesus. They're not. The best relationship in my life is my relationship with Jesus. That's where my hope comes from. That's where my passion and my excitement and my joy and my peace. It's because I make myself available to Jesus. It's because I'm willing to do what it takes. Now, am I perfect? Absolutely not. Okay, seriously, I overslept yesterday morning. I did not start the day out with Jesus, like one-on-one with Jesus like I like to, because I overslept. I just kept hitting the snooze button. And I'm telling you, my day wasn't great. It wasn't, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't as smooth as my day is when I am willing to turn off the alarm and get up, right? Not just turn it off and go back to sleep. When I turn off my alarm, when I get up, when I spend that extra time. Now, please don't misunderstand me, because for years I was told you need your time with Jesus in the morning. It needs to be the first thing that you do. And I'm telling you, that kind of teaching that I heard from lots of different sources over the course of my life, it put pressure on me. And it wasn't my parents. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm not talking about you, and I'm just start wrapping this up. It put pressure on me that if I wasn't doing my relationship with Jesus, or if I wasn't talking to him and spending time in his word early in the morning, I was doing it wrong. Guys, the Bible doesn't say you have to have your time with Jesus early in the morning. Does it say that Jesus got up early in the morning to pray? Yes. Is that a good thing? Yes. But is it fine if it's in the middle of the day or at night? Yes. The point is, are you willing to make time with Jesus every day? Now, I do believe it needs to be a daily thing. I do. But when it happens, make it work for you, because the last thing that you want is condemnation. And that's the last thing that Jesus wants for you. He doesn't want you to feel condemned that you're not doing it right or not doing it good enough. He just wants you. He just wants to know you. He just wants to spend time with you. Okay, so I got to rush through these last two because we're out of time. Number 3, though, if we look what happens next, verse 5, when Jesus came by, he looks up at Zacchaeus and he calls him by name. There is communication between Jesus and Zacchaeus. Jesus can already tell that Zacchaeus is available and willing, and Jesus talks to him. What does that tell me? That tells me that when I make myself available to Jesus, when I'm willing to do what it takes to know him, he's going to speak to me. It might be in an audible voice, probably not, probably through his word, maybe through other people, but he will, guys. He's faithful to speak to you. Zacchaeus listened to him. So he says, Zacchaeus, quick, come down. I want to be a guest in your house today. Zacchaeus is like, yeah, I'm coming, Lord. And he takes Jesus and they go to his house. And guess what all these judgy people are doing over here? Well, he's gone to the house to be the guest of a notorious sinner, they grumbled. That's in verse 7. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It doesn't matter. What truly matters is your desperation for Jesus and your willingness and your availability and your communication with him. That's number 3. So the third sign of desperation is that you communicate with him. You talk to him and you take time to listen to what he's saying to you. And the fourth sign of desperation is surrender. Look what Zacchaeus does in verse 8. He stands before the Lord and he says, I'll give half of my wealth to the poor. If I've cheated people on their taxes, I'll give them back 4 times. Guess what? He knows he screwed up, but he surrenders and he says, Jesus, I want to make it right. Jesus, I want to make this right. Do you know the word of God says that love covers over a multitude of sin? When he's willing to give away half of his wealth to the poor and to give back 4 times as much as he stole, that's a sign of love. His love. And the love that Jesus shows him back, it covers up that sin. Look what Jesus responds with in verse 9. He says, salvation has come on this home today. For this man right here, the chief tax collector of this region, the notorious sinner that everybody else is griping about, this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man, and that's how Jesus referred to himself a lot when he was on earth. He called himself the Son of Man. For the Son of Man, Jesus is talking about himself, okay, came to seek and to save those who are lost. So are you desperate? Are you available? Are you willing? Do you communicate with him? And are you going to surrender to Jesus? The choice is yours. God bless you. This has been an incredible, a little bit more than 840 seconds, and I hope to see you next week again.